Welcome to Waffle TV. If this is your first time watching us, this is the platform where we simplify, we demystify, and we exemplify elementary mathematics for your understanding. Last time we did division of decimals, and we promised you that this time around we're going to take something very interesting. And as you can see, today we are going to be looking at rounding decimals. This is a topic that is very, very important. Pay attention, because most of the times when we divide decimals, there is lot of decimal numbers behind it. And so what we can do to make it easy is to round up these decimals. Therefore, stay tuned and look at what we are going to do carefully so that you can learn something new. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and comment so that we can improve on the service. By the end of the lesson today, we should be able to round decimals to the nearest whole number, to the nearest tenth, to the nearest hundredth, and to the nearest thousandth. And if we can do this, then we have learned something today. Now we have a rule that we are going to follow. This is going to guide us to be able to round the numbers to the desired decimal place. The first thing to do is to round to the nearest unit, tenth, hundredth, or thousandth, first if the value of the figure that follows, please take note of this, if the value of the figure that follows is less than 5, the value to be rounded remains unchanged. We are going to do this practically, and you will understand the exact meaning of this statement when we solve the examples practically. Now the second rule states that if the value, that is the same value that follows, if it is 5 or more than 5, then the value to be rounded is increased by 1. These two rules are very important. Please pay attention as far as this is concerned, because this is what guides all about rounding decimals. Now let's look at some practical examples on how we can round to the nearest unit, which is the same as rounding to the nearest whole number, and how we can round to the nearest tenth, which is the same as rounding to one decimal place. The next will be to round to the nearest hundredth, which is the same as rounding to 2 decimal places. And the last will be rounding to the nearest thousandth, which is the same as rounding to 3 decimal places. Do not get confused when they ask you to round to a number of decimal places, or to a tenth, to a hundredth, or to a unit. There are synonyms. Remember, the first one in A, we are rounding to the nearest whole number or to the nearest unit. Therefore, our answer should not carry a decimal point. That's the meaning of rounding to the nearest unit. The first one, Roman 1, says 16.4. Our concern here are these two values, here and here, because we are supposed to look at the value that follows unit, because we are rounding to the nearest unit. And the values that follow is 4. 4 is less than 5, and we said any value that is less than 5, we maintain the unit and suppress that value that follows and the rest. So here we are going to maintain our 1, and here we'll maintain 6 because we have not added anything, and there is no decimal. This is to the nearest whole number. Let's look at the next one, 109.72. Our concern, as usual, is the unit and the tenth value. And here we realize that the tenth value is more than 5. So we're going to round up by adding 1 to 9. But there is another trick, because when we add 1 to 9, it becomes 10. Or we cannot write 1, 0, and 10 here. It won't work that way. Because here is 9, and we've added 1, it becomes 10. And when it becomes 10, we have to move to the next, which therefore 0 becomes 1, and this 9 becomes 0. Our whole number will be 1. 0 here becomes 1, because this is now 10, and we've added 1 here. And 9 becomes 0. On the whole, this means that 109 becomes 110. Let's move on to the next, which is rounding to the nearest tenth, or to 1 decimal place. Roman 1 says 8.75. Our concern here is the hundredth and the tenth values, because here we are rounding to the nearest tenth, so you are concerned with these two. The hundredth is more than 5, so we're going to add something here and suppress the rest. Therefore, 8 remains there. This 1 point, 7 becomes 8, and this one nothing. This is 1 decimal place. Roman 2, our concern is hundredth and tenth digits. Here, nothing will be added because it is less than 5. Be careful, they will always trick you and put numbers that are more than 5 after the hundredth value. Don't be tempted by this 5 because we don't have anything to do with it. We just have to look at the value that follows the 10th digit or the 10th value, which is 100. And so long as it's less than 5, we suppress everything. So our answer will remain 47.1. These 2 and 5, we suppress them. Let's move on to rounding to the nearest hundredth or to 2 decimal places. 0.304. Our concern at this level move is shifted to hundredth and thousandth digits. The thousand digit here is less than 5, so we maintain everything and suppress the thousand digit. So it will be 0.30, and here nothing is added. And remember, our answer is supposed to carry just 2 decimal places, and here are our 2 decimal places. Let's look at the next round to the nearest hundredth. 5,744.1094. Our concern here is the hundredth and the thousandth digit. The thousandth digit here is more than 5. We are supposed to add something here, and so this 0 will become 1. The 0 will become 1. So we maintain this 5,744 point. We are supposed to have 2 decimal places, so 1 stands, and the next one that follows this 0, we've added 1 because 9 is more than 5. So it will be 5,744.11. Let's move to the last aspect, which is rounding to the nearest thousandth. That is rounding to 3 decimal places. Here, our focus is on the thousand and the value that follows. This last question is very, very tricky. We have to pay close attention and see how we can handle this. We are rounding to 3 decimal places. It means our final answer here should carry 3 decimal places. But this decimal ends with 9999. And as I've said, we are rounding to the nearest thousandth. So our focus will be on 1,000 and on the 10,000th. Here is 9. We are supposed to round it up, like add 1 to the 1,000th digit. If we add 1 here, it becomes 10, and we cannot write 9 and write 10 at this level. Therefore, this will become 0, and we'll add 1 here. And if we add 1, it becomes 0 as well. So we'll write 0 here, and we'll add 1 to the next. This equally becomes 10. So we fix a 0 there and add 1 to the next value. At this point, it is not 9. So the value 1 will be replicated here. Therefore, our answer is 101. You can put a decimal point and write 000. These are our 3 decimal places. Last, which of course is the most simple, we are rounding to 3 decimal places or to the nearest thousand. So indicate your 1,000 and indicate the 10,000. Here is less than 5. Forget about the 9 and 8. They are more, but we don't have anything to do with them. So we are focused on 1 and 4. And there is 1 is less than 5. Therefore, we are going to maintain this 4 and suppress the rest. Our answer will be 2.154. These are 3 decimal places. If you followed everything up closely, you must have benefited something. And if you did, then this is what we had for you today. See you in our next lesson, where we shall be going into significant figures. Don't miss it. Ciao.